Who keeps slamming the door, my guy? Connect. I swear to God, if people keep slamming doors in this house, I'm going to go crazy. Why do I keep slamming my door? Yeah, why are we slamming doors? And there's a lot of... I'm about to beat a teenager's ass right now. I'm about to go. I'm gonna straight up fight him if he slams that door one more time.
Didn't I make you laugh? Didn't I make you smile?
Hi friends, it's Rory, and today is a happy but sad video because today I'm going to be talking about the ending to my favorite comic series of all time, which is Check Please. I am both happy and sad. I made it all the way through. I may cry in this video. I hope not, because I really like the makeup that I did. And because if I cry, I may get my makeup on my Samwell hoodie, or Samwell jersey. But I'm really sad. It's very, let me adjust this, but it's really sad when, you know, something that you loved ended so, like, something that you loved so much ends. But I wanted to talk about Check Please today. And yeah, let's go ahead. So if you don't know what Check Please is, it is the story of a boy named Eric Biddle who goes by Biddy, who used to be a figure skating, who used to be a figure skater, and then he joined the hockey team, and now he has a scholarship to go to Samwell University and join their men's hockey team. The only thing is that Biddy is afraid of being checked, and if you don't know hockey, checking is basically like, specifically it's a way to get the puck away from someone who currently has it. So sometimes that's like putting the stick out in front of them so they trip. Biddy specifically is afraid of the physical checking, which are like body slams, things like that. Along with that, Biddy also is a baker. He stress bakes specifically, which same bro. And he the story is basically his entire college career, both on the men's hockey team and with his personal life. So I originally started to read Check Please when I was in college. I think I was sophomore year or maybe like early junior year that I like came on it. I started reading about when year 2 started for Check Please, because I remember I got through all of year 1, and then it was like the first or second post for year 2 when I originally found the series. I have since become obsessed with it. These are years 1 through 3 that I got through the Kickstarters. I also have all 3 editions of Huddle. I bought this Samwell jersey because I love Biddy so much. It's very comfortable. I love to wear it randomly, especially in the winter months when, because this can get kind of like hot, even though it's so comfortable. So in the winter, it's like really nice to wear this. Hi, this is Editing Rory. As you can see, I'm editing the video right now. I just wanted to point out I also have a whole bunch of art prints that I have on my wall, and even more hidden back away because I don't have room on my walls for them. But here are a couple of the prints that I have. I have this poster, which is an inside joke for the fans of the comic. And over here, I have an art print of Jack and Biddy. Down here, I have the poster for the year 2, or not year 2? year 2 Kickstarter. And over here, I have an art print of Biddy that used to hang at my office when I worked in office, but once I moved home, it moved over here to my door. And besides it, I have a Samwell flag and a Providence Falconers, which is a fictional team that one of the players ends up playing on. It's a fake professional team, but I love them both so much. The reason I started to really love this series was because of one Jack Zimmerman. I love him so much, and that's specifically because at the time, I've mentioned this a couple times, but I struggle very heavily with anxiety, to the point where there was a time a couple years ago where I was having an anxiety attack every day, a panic attack every day. This was when I was working in it was when I was working at the job I am at currently, but I was on phone support, and I was also not able to get any medication at the time, so I was very much not in a good place. But that's kind of been how I've been my whole life. I've always been very anxious and had a lot of issues with anxiety, and so I felt connected to Jack's storyline about his anxiety. It was really weird, but also kind of therapeutic to see people struggling with the same thing that I was. It's also kind of like why I like Stevie from Truly Devious, and Kath from Fangirl, and all these other people that struggle with kind of like with anxiety. And so at first it really sucked because he's such an asshole in year one. No one remembers it now because he's such a good person, but he was a dick year one. And when you read back through year one, you're like, man, Jack, calm down. But over the years, I've also grown to really identify with Biddy, specifically because, especially in year 3 and year 4, because just specifically the part with his parents is where I really identify. Being queer in the South, where it's obviously not as accepted, and I feel very connected to Biddy as a result. He's probably one of my favorite characters ever written, just because I connect with him so closely. I'm really sad that it's over. I'm happy with the way it ended. Oh man, am I happy the way it ended, but the fact that I'm never gonna get a tweet of a surprise update, the fact that I'm never going to be able to look forward to a Check Please update, it's really sad. It's really sad. I did order the second book, so these are the copies that you get in the Kickstarter. It's 1 year per book, but there are books that copies that you can get where it has year 1 and 2 in one. But no, year 2 is called Sticks and Scones, and I ordered that, so I'll have 2 copies of year 3. It's fine, but that doesn't get to me for another couple of days, so I can't hold it up. But I'll have the entire collections on my shelf, and it's gonna be weird to be able to just, like, anytime I want, go and read through. I also have these, which are like little zines with little extra bits that are not necessarily the safest for work. And by not the safest for work, I mean they're not safe for work at all, but they're super duper cute. My babies, they're so... The character growth that Biddy himself has gone through as the main character is amazing. From where he started at the beginning, where he fainted at the slightest brush, to what happened in year 4, which I'm not gonna say because it just came out last week and I don't want people who haven't been able to get caught up to know exactly what happened. But man, what happened? Crazy. Just the character growth it took to get there. The fact that Jack now is able to talk through his feelings instead of, like, to quote John Mulaney, letting all of his feelings build up and then dying. That's so good. Also, I wish that there were more of the other characters in year 4, but most of them have graduated. So, like, my favorite character, Shitty B. Knight, who will forever be the best, most woke bro of all time. I love him. Except that I wish... Remember that one time that Shitty legitimately shaved or like cut his hair because of his parents, and he went from looking like that beautiful beast to looking like he's about to go sell corn in Oklahoma during the Great Depression? I mourned the loss of his hair. And then just the frogs, oh my gosh, the frogs. Just Chowder as a character is so fantastic. I love him. He gets you an emotional hockey goalie son, because that's exactly what Biddy did. And then just like Ransom and Holster, who literally are adopted dads to Biddy. I don't care what anyone else says. They straight up adopted that boy. And then Lardo and her relationship with Shitty is so fantastic the whole way through. Also, let me just say, Lardo reminds me so much of my best friend. That's one reason why I love her so much. They are basically the same person.
Coincidence? I think not!
Except Lardo is a bit more outgoing. This book had so much good queer representation. Just the entire school. So Samuel is a fictional school, obviously, but they have a reputation of it's called the 1 in 4, sometimes more rule, where basically 1 in 4 people is queer in some way. Obviously, it's not realistic, but it's fantastic. And there are queer things that are handled with such care in this, like Biddy, where there's a dance for the whole for the school, and you're supposed to bring a date, and your friends are supposed to find a date for you, and Biddy hasn't told everyone that he's gay, and he comes out to Shitty, and it's so good. It's like, that look is exactly the look that I've had when I've come out to other people, and he just can't believe what's going on, and then Shitty being so upset that that Biddy didn't think that they would be happy for him, or that they'd want him to ignore his feelings just because he was a hockey player. Oh, it's so good. This whole comic is so good. And then the relationships with them, obviously, I've already mentioned Shitty and Lardo. They have a sort of subtle relationship. You never really get to see much with them. Then obviously there's Biddy's relationship. So now I'm gonna go through and I'm going to show some of my favorite things about Check Please that I haven't already mentioned. So one of my favorite things that ever happened was all the way back in book 1, which is when you find out about Jack's anxiety, and he actually had a suicide attempt based on that anxiety. His father is a famous hockey player, and everyone expects him to follow in his footsteps, and the pressure and anxiety build up so much that he ends up taking more medication than necessary. And the way they tell it is like a fairy tale-esque. So this is kind of like the most different of all of the comics. This is the only time it's ever told in a fairy tale like way, because in a way the story kind of is known to everyone, so it turns out to be kind of like a tale that other people tell. And then it ends with this, which is one of the best panels of all time. I love it so much. Also, I still to this day cannot imagine how Ransom and Holster did not understand that Biddy is a gay, because this panel alone, I mean, the fact that he's saying that men when he's talking about things that he likes, but look at that, look at this, my guy, look at this. Like, he's wearing flannel, which is rolled up to his elbows, and then he's wearing a vest. This is the most southern gay I've ever seen before, and I cannot believe that Biddy had to explicitly state that he was homosexual in order for them to understand when he's walking around looking like this, my guy. Also, can we just have a moment of silence for long hair Biddy, because like once he cut his hair, it was over, my guy. It was over. Biddy ascended. It was a cultural reset.
It was a cultural reset. It was a cultural reset.
Up next, we're going to talk about my favorite panel in any of these comics, which is this one, where they're talking about Lardo, and they're describing her in such a way. I'm going to put a better picture in over top of the video, because it's honestly, it's one of the funniest things that every single time I reread the series and I get to this comic, I send a picture to my friend who also enjoys Check Please, shout out Sam, and I'm just like, here it is. Here it is, my favorite panel in this entire comic, and they always laugh at me. Like, every time they explicitly laugh when I post that panel, because they know I'm doing a reread of Check Please. Also, once again, I'm sorry, he is a homosexual. Look at that, look at that. He's wearing plaid. Look, like the amount of plaid that I didn't realize that he wears in year one. Ridiculous, ridiculous. Ridiculous. He's a homosexual. Now let's go through year two. We're just gonna flip through until I see something to call out. Oh my gosh. Oh my gosh. Biddy just like singing in the shower, and Jack coming in to beat his ass. Oh, I feel it. Look at my boy. Look at my boy with his little braces. When those braces came off, I literally didn't realize at first, and then I saw them and I screamed, and I texted my niece who I'd gotten on to Check Please. Shitty being absolutely chaotic. I love him. My boy. I love him so much. Oh man, let's not forget the man I hate so much, Kent Parson. I hate Kent Parson. I'm sorry. Also, people who are absolutely in love with Kent Parson have constantly been one of the most toxic people ever, and I'm not afraid to say it. Like, to the point where, like, people who dislike Kent Parson end up disliking him more because of those people. You know those type of things. Like, the character that, like Kylo Ren. Kent Parson is like Kylo Ren. People who don't like him just didn't like him for anything, and then other people liked him so much that they started to attack the people that didn't like him, and then those people started to like him even less. How I feel about Kent Parson is exactly how I feel about Kylo Ren. That's it. That's the take. That's the take here. Oh man, graduation. The kiss, I'm not showing the kiss because it's high-key spoilers for people who haven't started, but like, if you've read Check Please, you know what I mean when I say the kiss. The kiss. I don't know what the point of this video is anymore. It was supposed to be me talking about, like, look at my book plate, it's signed. It was supposed to be just me talking about Check Please being over, but it's turned more into me looking through the comics and being sad. I love these characters. I love them so much. And if you haven't read Check Please, once again, I recommend it. The entire series is over and done with. You can breeze through it probably in a day, especially during this quarantine. And right now there's a whole bunch of stuff going on. There's a lot of art on Tumblr still. Check Please really started on Tumblr, so it's still kind of like a big thing there. The characters are great, all of them. You'll fall in love with them so easily. Oh my gosh. I don't think I'd gone half of year one before I was absolutely in love with every character except for Jack, but that Jack was being an asshole. And he changed around real quickly. By the end of year one, you fucking love Jack too. And then the writing... You know what I love most about Check Please is that it's a queer comic, but the entire story is not about being queer. Like, yeah, there are definitely parts where it feels explicitly, this is a queer story. This needs to be done so that people know this is a queer story. But then there are other parts where it's just like Biddy is a character living his life who happens to be queer. There are other characters in the story living their life who happen to be queer. And I love that. I feel like you don't get enough, like, content like that. You know what I'm saying? Like, a lot of queer content is explicitly content that has to do 100% with being queer. Like, it's coming out stories, and it's, like, you know, stories where an emphasis is on something that is specifically queer in general. And very rarely do you get to have, like, stories about characters who are queer and they're just living their lives. And this story kind of, like, toes the line, because there are, you know, parts of it that are explicitly, this is about queerness, this is about queerness, this is about coming out, this is about not feeling accepted by your parents, this is about having to keep a relationship secret, this is, and then there are other parts where it's like, this is about Biddy, and he is stress baking because he refuses to write his senior thesis, and he just so happens to be queer. And it's great, it's great. There are definitely parts that I wish were handled more about why something explicitly is kind of like rude because they're queer. There's a whole part in year 3 where they have this thing called like the sin bin, where they have rules for the team, and if they break a rule they have to put money in the bin. And one of the rules is about public displays of affection, or displays of affection in general. And so right after Biddy like tells his friends that he's dating, he is constantly being called out and having to put money in the bin because of public displays of affection. The thing is that when it comes to the story, Biddy lives in the house, and there's a house for the hockey players, and he lives there. With queerness, there's a lot of talk about, or there's a lot of kind of like only being able to do something in the house, or there's a lot of not being able to have public displays of affection at all. And I wish that there had been kind of more emphasis, because he complains about it and there's jokes about it, but it's never really addressed that it's kind of problematic that they're the ones that are being that are being punished the most for the public displays of affection, when it's not something that Biddy can do in real life because of his queerness. So there are definitely, you know, misfalls. There are things that aren't addressed that I wish there were, but for the majority, the queer representation in this is so good. It's so good. It's also really diverse. There's lots of people of color. Lardo is an Asian American woman. There's a whole bunch of black characters. There's, you know, mixed race people or characters. There's my baby boy Chowder, who is also Asian. There's just there's a lot of representation in this. I don't know what to do with my life now that it's done. What am I supposed to do? What comic am I supposed to read? Because I have webtoons and I love Lore Olympus. It's great. I love the Cursed Princess Club. It's great, but nothing's ever impacted me the way that Check Please has. Yeah, so this video is probably gonna be just like sad boy hours because I'm so sad because one of my favorite series of all time has ended, but I wanted to do what I really wanted to do was I wanted to do this video with my niece, who is also a Check Please fan, but hey, quarantine, social distancing, so I have to do this alone. It's not going to be as fun as if I had my niece here. I just wanted to do a video where I talk about how Check Please personally affected me, how great it is, how sad I am that it's ending. Get to do some Samuel makeup, get to wear my Biddy jersey, get to be sad about getting old. I started reading this in college. It's been 8 years. If you haven't read Check Please, please. No pun intended, but please do. You won't regret it. Or I'm going to beat a child. That's it. I'm officially canceling Sad Boy Hours. We've done our sadness. And now we're going to go and use this makeup probably on a TikTok thing. I don't know, I'm kind of digging it. In the meantime, guys, I hope that you had a great time with me today. As always, there's a link down below to where you can register to vote. Please, let your voice be heard. Let yourself be a part of your country and democracy, and make sure that if you just turned 18, that you are registering so you will be able to vote in the November election, even though you may not be voting for who you want to vote for, but you still gotta vote. You still gotta do your civic duty. I hope that you guys have a great rest of your day. Bye!